Morning guys, and welcome to the last lesson of elements, mixtures and compounds. Today we're going to be identifying elements, mixtures and compounds from their particle diagrams, which sounds very complicated, but it's not at all. It's basically just looking at pictures and trying to decide whether that picture is showing us, whether that diagram is showing us an element, a mixture or a compound. And you'll see how easy it is when I show you the pictures. Okay, so we've got three particle diagrams here. One is an element, one is a mixture, and one is a compound. So if we start with this one here, okay, this one is an element, and we know it's an element because we only one type of ball, one colour circle there, okay? And remember, particle diagrams use circles to represent things. So this is an element. If we skip the one in the middle and we have a look at this one here, okay, this is a particle diagram showing a compound, and we know that because there's two different types of atom and they are joined together. Okay, so element, compound. So I'm sure you've all worked out now. The one in the middle is showing a mixture. Actually, it's a mixture of compounds if you have a look, because this is a compound because we've got two different coloured balls and they're joined together. And this is a compound because they're two different coloured balls and they're joined together. But this looks different to this one, so it's a different compound. So this here is a mixture. Okay, let's have a look at that in a little bit more detail. And use this to revise a little bit, because there will be an end of topic test coming up and there might be prizes for it. So an element is made up of one type of atom, okay? And when we're using our particle diagrams, we can see that. Look at all these balls, all the same colour, all the same size, one type of atom, okay? And that is what it would look like. That's what a particle diagram of a solid looks like. And you know this because you did it way back in year 7. So each of these diagrams shows you an element, okay? This is a gas element because they're far apart. Remember that? When we draw our particle diagrams and the balls are far apart, that means it's a gas. This is an element, and it's a liquid because the balls are fairly far apart, but not as much as a gas, okay? This is a solid element, okay? This is gold. And you can see that we've got this arrangement, this really tidy, neat arrangement in rows, which tells you that it's a solid. Okay, so we can find out a lot from a particle diagram. So these are all elements. This is a gas element, this is a liquid element, and this is a solid element. This down here, it's still an element because there's only one type of atom there. But we call it a molecule because we've got the two atoms joined together. So an example of this, as I said last lesson, is oxygen. The molecule of oxygen has got two atoms joined together. Okay, so this could be a particle diagram showing the element oxygen. Okay. So compounds, remember, compounds are formed when two or more different elements react together and we get a completely new substance. Okay, so these are particle diagrams showing compounds, okay? And we know they're compounds because we've got two different, or more, we could have more than two different atoms, but we've got two different atoms, okay? And particle diagrams, sometimes they're in colour and sometimes they're in black and white, and sometimes the balls are the same size and sometimes they're different sizes as well. But we can see that they're compounds because the balls are joined together. Finally, a mixture. So a mixture, remember, there's two or more elements that are in the same place, but they haven't been joined together. They haven't been chemically bonded together. And we can show that in a particle diagram because the bonds are absent. So if you look at this one, this is two different elements. So this is one element, there's the blue element and there's the red element. And they're in a mixture there, but they're not bonded together. They're not stuck to each other, the balls. So that's an element. Okay. If we look at this one, okay, this is a mixture of compounds. This is a compound and this is another compound, and we can tell that because they look different. So this is a mixture of two different compounds. Over here gets a little bit more complicated because here we've got elements and compounds. So if you look here, this is an element because both the atoms are the same. This is a compound because the atoms are different. So this is a mixture of elements and compounds. And right down here, We've just got two different elements, and we can see that because we've got two black balls that are joined together and two white balls that are joined together. So that's an element, and this is a mixture of elements. Okay, your turn. So what I want you to do is have a little look at this, and I want you to identify the elements, compounds and mixtures. So which diagram is showing what? Okay, so let's start with this one. What do you think? Is that picture there showing an element, a mixture or a compound? What do you think? That is an element. How did you do? This one, here we go. Is this an element, a mixture or a compound? So we've got two balls, they're joined together and they're different colours. So what is that? That's a compound, remember? Two or more different types of atom joined together. Okay, what about number 3? We've got two atoms that are joined together, but both the balls are the same colour. So is that an element, a mixture or a compound? That's still an element, remember? Okay, remember, because those balls are the same colour, because it's the same type of atom, it's still an element. Okay, onto the bottom row now. What do we think about this one? We've got this here, okay, which is a compound, and we know that because there's two different colour balls joined together. And this is an element because it's two balls of the same colour, two atoms joined together. So we've got a compound and an element in there, so that makes that a picture showing a mixture. To the middle one again, okay, is that an element, a mixture or a compound in there? Okay, that's a compound. Can't be a mixture because we've only got one type of compound in there, look. Okay. And finally, the last one, is that an element, a mixture or a compound? What do you think? So that last one is a mixture as well. I'll just put those up on the screen now. There we go. How did you do? We'll just wait for that grey screen to disappear. There we go. So element, compound, element, mixture, compound, mixture. Okay, so now you are going to go to the quiz and you are going to answer the questions. Okay, good luck guys, and I will be in touch soon. Take care.